Today I'm going to talk about edema. And edema is a general word that means fluid buildup in the body, and it can happen in lots of different areas. You can have it in your lungs, you can have it in the belly, you can have it in the legs. And although you can have it anywhere, today I'll just talk a little bit about what we call lower extremity edema, and that's when you have fluid buildup in your legs. That can happen for a number of reasons. You can have it during pregnancy. You can have it if you have heart failure. You can have it if you have weak veins. You can have it if you have um, other lung types of problems. All kinds of different things can cause fluid to build up in the legs. You can have it with weak kidneys, or if you're on dialysis. Numerous different conditions can cause edema in the legs. And for the most part, it's pretty hard to treat, actually. There's not a lot of different things that you can do. You can try to cut down the salt in your diet, trying to improve the underlying causes. If you're a smoker, cutting back on smoking. We also do compression stockings, which are just socks that put pressure on the legs to kind of help put more attention and prevent the fluid from building up, keeping your legs up. Those are some of the common things in Western medicine that we do to treat lower extremity or leg edema. Now, the pathology of why that happens isn't really well understood. Like I said, we know it is associated with different organ disorders, but exactly how it happens, is it because of weaker veins? Is it because of changes in pressure in the fluid? It's probably a combination, and we're not 100% sure why, but we know there's an association. Now, in Chinese medicine, I'm going to talk about a few different herbs and how we think about it in Chinese medicine as well. So, first of all, edema in the legs could be related to any of the organs. So, one of the similarities is that we know it's related to different organ systems in the body. Now, in Chinese medicine, we have a little bit more concrete way of classifying the organ systems and their relation to water. And like we've talked about before on this podcast, there are a few different organs, although all the organs play a role in the water metabolism. There's three main organs that we look at: the lungs, the spleen, and the kidneys. The lungs are the upper burner, the upper organ that plays a role. The spleen is the middle organ that plays a role, and then the kidneys are the organs at the lower part of your body that play a role in water metabolism. So it's on three different levels. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this herbal trio that is sometimes used. It's Gan Jiang, Sin, and Wu Wei Zi. And these three herbs are used to specifically help water metabolism, where the source of the problem is rooted in the spleen and in the lungs. And in Western medicine, we usually think of water metabolism as being done primarily by the kidneys, because we associate the kidneys with the bladder and promoting urination and getting rid of the water in the body. And so we typically think of it being kidneys and helping the kidneys, but in Chinese medicine, the spleen and the lungs also play a huge part. And so these three herbs, Ganjiang, Wu Weizi, and Xishen, are used together in Chinese medicine. They're used together in a famous Chinese medicine formula called Major Blue-Green Dragon formula, which is an old formula that is used for helping to regulate water metabolism disorders in the body. And the way that these herbs work is they work in scenarios where there is cold that has built up in the lungs and in the spleen, and associated with that cold, there has been mucus that has started to build up. And that mucus and that development of fluid further impairs the proper movement of the qi in the lungs and the spleen. So typically, again, like we've talked about here before, the spleen is an organ that helps to, when it's in good health, it helps to ascend the energy of the body up towards the lungs, and it helps to process the food intake and the nutrition to separate it and raise up the clear and healthy part of that to the rest of the body, and especially to the lungs. And the lungs are an organ that is meant to descend the chi of the body. So you can think about your inhalation process. You're bringing air into your body and down into the lungs. And when the lung's not able to descend the chi properly, then that's when you cough. And coughing is a process where it's an abnormal process where you're forcefully bringing air up out of the body. And so the lung dynamic and the spleen dynamic have a ascending descending function that is impossible, that is important to have a healthy balance in the body. And so these three herbs work in combination to help restore the lung, which is responsible for the upper water metabolism, and the spleen, which is responsible for the middle water metabolism. And it also helps to transform mucus that is building up within the body and preventing the proper flow of the chi. So you have to use it in the right condition. Everything that I always say here is dependent upon using it in the right condition. You can't just go online and buy these three herbs and take it if you have edema. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of people make that mistake. Even a lot of clinicians make that mistake. They think, oh, this is an herb for edema, so let's prescribe it when you have edema. But you can't do that. And that's why in our clinic we go to extreme lengths to make sure we have the right diagnosis, so that if your edema is being caused by lung problems, then we're going to address that. If it's being caused by spleen problems or kidney problems, whatever it is, we have to take different pathways. And there's a lot of places where they don't do that, and you have the wrong diagnosis and it can make things worse. And so really important to differentiate what is causing the underlying symptom. It's not as simple as just saying, okay, I have edema and this is the pill that I take for it. You really have to look at the underlying condition. So that's a little bit about edema and some of the treatment, an example of a treatment approach in Chinese medicine. And we'll see you next time.